Today you're joining me at home in Palma, where we're going to be doing a Mallorcan wine tasting accompanied by some delicious regional nibbles. Now, everybody knows that Spain is famous for incredible produce. You've got ham, sausage, cheese, wine, the list goes on and on. But Mallorca, like everywhere else in Spain, has got its own regional delights, and that's what today's video is about. I'm going to be trying the very best products from here on the island. But first, how could we possibly just sit around and get absolutely hammered without having a little history lesson first? Well, quite easily, but we're going to have a little history lesson first. Grapes and wine were introduced to the region by the Romans, and even when the Moors took over years later, and despite it being completely banned by the Quran, wine production did remain in some capacity. We know this because when King Jaume I, or James the Conqueror of Spain, reconquered Mallorca, he could have been called James the Reconqueror, but when he reconquered Mallorca in the year 1230, he was offered a very nice glass of plonk as a peace offering. My kind of guys, the Moors, I wouldn't want to make up with you either unless you'd brought booze. Anyway, hundreds of years later in the 19th century, a plague of vine-destroying bugs arrived and basically decimated the winemaking business almost overnight. Most of the vineyards were then replanted with almond trees. However, as recently as 1990, we saw a bit of a resurgence of the wine business here on the island, mostly driven by tourist demand. We're not drinking this delicious Rioja from the Spanish Peninsula. No, we're drinking Mallorquin wine or we're not drinking anything at all, said British and German tourists. Never. If it's wet and it's got 14% written on the bottle, it's going down the hatch. All the wines today are red, and they're all Denominación de Origen. I'll try that again. They're all Denominación de Origen.
Denominación de Origen.
Which means they're all certified high quality for the region that they're from, kind of like Parmesan in Italy. Oh, and they're also young wines, because older wines are more expensive, and I'm saving up for a Nintendo Switch. Time to get the notes out. Our first wine today is Pereceda. Pereceda is a 5th generation winery, still owned and operated by the founding family around the town of Manacor, where incidentally Rafa Nadal is from, so there you go. We're looking to experience ripe fruits, notably red currants and blackberries. Retronasally, we may retronasally. Now there's a great word that I will have to use more often in my day-to-day life. Well, I thought Dorothy's perfume at first was lovely, but then retronasally I realised she smelled like a cat's litter tray. Retronasally, we may pick up on raspberry jam and pleasant vegetable aromas, as opposed, I imagine, to unpleasant vegetable aromas, which anyone that's had cauliflower for dinner and then gone straight to bed will have experienced under the duvet. So first we're going to look at the wine. Okay, I'm seeing a bit of cork. It's got a very light cherry look to it. Apart from a head rush, what am I getting from that? It's very light. I wouldn't be able to pinpoint berries from that. Time for a swirl. And what now? Inhale. I've already been inhaling. I thought that was a sniff. I've got my notes here about how I'm supposed to taste this. Take a small sip and work it around your mouth, ensuring to cover all the taste receptors. Fighting the temptation with every fibre of my being not to say that it tastes like red wine. It's very nice, drinkable, and in Spain, $4.50 a bottle, you know, the equivalent in the UK, you're up at like 8, 9. So I think we're going to try this with a big slab of Mallorcan sobrasada. But what is sobrasada? So sobrasada is a raw, cured pork sausage specifically from the Balearic region. It's made from ground pork, a variety of spices, salt, pepper, and it's pretty heavy-handed on the paprika as well, which gives it this amazing orangey red colour. It's normally spicy or not spicy. The spicy one is elevated with cayenne
Cayenne
pepper, and that's the one we're going to have today because I love me some spice. Now this could be interesting because I'm still in a process of my life where I'm trying to get to like paprika. But we're going to dive in. We'll get a nice big lump of this. It's got the texture of kind of pate, a paste. This is quite a mild. They're often really quite intense and very, very heavily seasoned with paprika. I have to admit, before this I was kind of a bit on the fence about sobrasada. I certainly wouldn't order it out of choice, really. That is actually maybe the nicest sobrasada I've ever tried. We're going to take half a cracker, get a nice wedge on. See, it really is like a paste. You can just spread it. Look at that, spread away. We'll break out the honey. Miel de flores, which is wildflower honey. Delicious. This is about 12 euros for a kilo of this stuff. Oh God, that's lovely. That very strong tasting honey. You know, very floral. With these little spicy notes, the little herbal tones in there. And then washed down with a bit of old perseda. Good stuff. Delicious. That was a great start to this. Okay. Trinchet Roble. Oof. A little bit of sobrasada repeating there. It's from the other winemaking area of Binissalem in the middle of the island. And an interesting factoid is that a trinchet is a traditional kind of Mallorcan knife, a multi-purpose knife. So presumably they used these trinchets in the vineyards back in the day when they were harvesting the grapes. That's what my guess would be anyway. The bottle says characteristic red wine made from careful processing of traditional grapes, a combination of mature rounded fruits with oaky notes. It's great with all kinds of rice, meat and cheese. Now I'm going to be pairing this with lomo, which is cured and dried pork tenderloin. Very, very famous in Spain. You'll get lomo everywhere. And again, you'll often find lomo heavily seasoned with paprika. So we'll see how we get on with this one. The lomo that we're having today is from Soller, which is a very popular town with visitors up in the northeast of the island. You can take this cool little wooden train up there. There's Soller Old Town, and then you can go about 1 kilometre, I think, down the road down to the port of Soller. I've also got some olives that I wanted to try with this bad boy. Slightly darker than the last one. More like a kind of Madeira colour? Oh God, Madeira, eh? Bringing out the big words. Madeira. Ooh, different. Definitely getting oak. Yeah, I can really smell kind of wine barrels in that. What am I looking for? Mature fruits. Yeah, I could get that. I could be down with smelling mature fruits. It's not very sweet. The aftertaste is light. It's lovely though, I love oak. The more oak the better, as far as I'm concerned. So let's see, you can see that on the edge there. That lining of paprika where it's been rubbed in. The meat, beautifully cured. Not stringy, not, you know, with these chewy bits that are kind of a bit unpleasant that you sometimes have to hide in a napkin when you're in a restaurant. You're like, it's delicious. Super impressed with that lomo. Let's get stuck into these olives. Let's have a wee cheeky olive. A lovely, firm, juicy olive from Mallorca. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's really good. You often get with the kind of cheaper olives a more synthetic taste, a bit of a kind of plasticky, and you can really taste the difference between a high quality olive like this. Number 3. After I've drunk this. I mean, for God's sake, I've only got 1 wine glass. Well, that's the story I'm sticking to, okay? There's only 1 wine glass, I have to finish it. Excuse me. Third and final wine, we have this José El Ferrer Crianza from 2016. Now, some of the eagle-eyed among you may spot that this bottle is not exactly full. That's because, well, I don't know. Me and Kiki got a bit drunk last night and we ran out of wine, so I thought, let's just drink some of the wine for the video I'm making and nobody will notice. But my guilty conscience got the better of me, so I just thought I'd come clean and admit it straight away. The good thing is that when I am tasting it now, I genuinely cannot remember what it tastes like because I was a bit away with it last night, so I don't even remember going to bed, if I'm honest. Yeah, this was about $7.50, so we've cranked it up a notch here. The Ferrer winery has been on the go in Binissalem since 1931, and this particular wine is aged in the winery's original concrete tanks before being transferred to oak barrels, ultimately being aged for a full 2 years. So we might get some oak action in this one as well. We should be picking up aromas of wild red fruits, balsamic with hints of cocoa, nuts and undergrowth. Crikey, that's a bit rank, isn't it? Nuts. Oh, I'm thinking of undercarriage. That's something altogether different. That's a whole different story. I think I'd be sending that wine back in a restaurant. I'm terribly sorry, sir. Is the wine not to one's liking? Well, actually, mate, it's the aromas of nuts and undercarriage. I get enough of them in the male changing rooms at the gym. Let's pour some of this out. First 2 glasses, starting to hit a wee bit. Starting to feel a distinct lack of motivation to continue making this video. Oof, a nice big taste again. We're just gonna kind of fire through this because, well, sorry, we meant to look at it. Right, definitely darker. That wasn't some slapstick comedy, that was a genuine accident. Tastes like wine, it's nice though. Yeah, enough. Anyway, let's get some cheese out. We're going to pair it with some cheese. Look at this bad boy. We're also going to eat and drink with the accompaniment of a very interesting friend called Fonoi Marie, which is also known as samphire. So samphire is this coastal plant that you get a lot of in the Mediterranean. And an interesting factoid, it's also very rich in vitamin C. So this cheese is from Menorca, the nearby island, because Menorca is the real cheese-making star of the Balearic Islands. And it's 100% cow's milk cheese, semi-curado, which means it's semi-cured. You know, they cure it for like, what, 2 or 3 months. And then after that, you get curado cheeses, which are cured cheeses, so that's 4 months onwards. It's delicious. Very mild. I want to say it's kind of like a Wensleydale, like a firmer, less crumbly Wensleydale. This sounds kind of rude actually, but it's got an aftertaste of chlorine. That aroma you've got in your nose after you've been swimming. Now we're going to have a bit of the samphire. So if you don't know what samphire looks like, it looks kind of like a little seaweed. There she is. This sounds mental again, but have you ever had Mentos? Tastes like fruit Mentos a wee bit. There's like an aftertaste of fruit Mentos. Firm, crunchy. I mean, you can choke yourself in it, no problem. Right, time for the pairing. Let's pair. I'm only pairing because I'm going to choke to death unless I drink some bloody wine. Cheesy. Oh, delicious. Cheese and wine. I mean, like, really. If you want anything more in your life than cheese and wine, your priorities are way off. Salud. Well guys, that's it for today's wine and food tasting video from Mallorca. I'm going to be a complete trooper and just drink all this wine, really. If you did enjoy the video, give it a like. That would be awesome. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you've got any food from Balearis, from the Balearic Islands, that you like and would like to see a video about, just tell me in the comments, that'd be great. And also, if you're not already subscribed, subscribe. It's not Netflix, it's free. So, from my flat here in Palma de Mallorca, as we say around these parts, Deo!